Hey, everyone. Just thought I would pop in here, see if anybody wanted to hang out. And now we got 10 watching. Good to see everybody showing up. And got the link already pinned if anybody wants to come in and talk. And I looked at my graphs today. Just picked them up and put them back down. Just a 24-hour check. And they appear to be doing pretty well. There's some of them drawn out more than others, but they were definitely working on a lot of them. So I think we're going to have a decent take. Maybe not 100%, but I think it'll be pretty good. So I'm pretty happy with what we got going on. And just to show you, hold on 1 second. Already getting the FFA stuff packed up for them to, get that sent out. They're going to give me the address to send it to tomorrow. It's in Northern Ohio is where it's going. It's going to, I can tell you exactly. Let me look at the email here. It will be going to Cardington Lincoln High School in Morrow County, Ohio, north of Columbus. So will be pretty good. So that's a nice little thing they're doing a swarm. They're trying to set 100 swarm traps. So whatever they're going to do with those colonies, I don't know. But they're really right now they're looking for frames. One thing in talking to thanks, Randy. They're talking to Acorn about trying to get some frames, but I'm wondering if they're putting any any comb in there, because the guy I talked to said he donated 600 frames himself to them. So trying to get that worked out. Yep, doing good. Thanks, Brooklyn's good to see you. Things are looking good. I'm excited about that FFA. It's nice to see young kids getting involved with beekeeping, and they're doing a swarm. They're trying to swarm trap. So giving them 100 bullets. That's enough bullets for every swarm trap they're trying to set, and I'm giving them 10 bottles of lure. So they can give it a shot. So I will have an address tomorrow. So how cool would it be if we could round up old frames that we're trying to get rid of and donate them to their swarm traps? That would be a decent thing to do, wouldn't it? And then they just start getting boxes of frames from all over the country, just coming into them, right? That would be pretty cool. So I've got the link pinned, guys. If anybody wants to jump on, please do. Otherwise, it could be a very short chat, and it's probably not going to go long tonight anyway, because it is a work night. But it's 9:30. It's not past my bedtime yet, so definitely working on that. Yeah, they're going to be doing some videos, but see, the thing is, I think they're trying a different swarm lures. So they asked that we don't put any labels on it, so they can, like, it'll just be a true test across the board. So I'm excited. My room, I bottled up, and it's kind of weird to even say this, that I have bottled up over 1,000 bottles of Swarm Lure already this year. I haven't sold them all, so it's not like I'm killing it on profit on them. But wholesale, they get a special deal, so there's not a lot of profit in that. But sold a lot wholesale out to people, and doing the Amazon and the website, and I've bottled over 1,000 bottles already, so that's pretty cool. But now I'm gonna have to order some more bottles, probably. Actually, bottles, and I've probably got, I don't know, 900 bottles left, so it's not like I'm in a rush to get them, but we'll be having to order those again soon. The Queen marking pen sets I ordered on Thursday. I got a email today saying they're on back order for 4 to 7 days now, so now I'm waiting. And I called them up to kind of complain. I'm like, well, why didn't you tell me that when I was spending my money with you on Thursday? They weren't back ordered Thursday. Now they're back ordered. So now I'm waiting on them. So put out the little guy, right? The little guy's always got to go to the back. And I should have more Saracel cups coming for the Varroa. Czech cups should be coming in. I ordered more of those. I ordered the pins. Man, I'd really like to get some old frames. If we could get old frames, guys, and somehow get this address and everybody ship them to this FFA, that would be cool. Because right now they're trying to get like 1,200 frames donated. And I don't know when I say 1,200, they're looking at frames, and they're in Ohio. They're looking for 1,200 frames from Acorn, but Acorn's not going to send them old comb, right? So that's something they need for swarm traps. They need old comb, black comb, right? That a lot of us are probably trying to cycle out anyway. Oh, my cigarette went out. Where's Charlie when you need him? He's probably lingering in the back. James is driving back home today. Oh, it has to be inspected to enter Ohio? Okay. I didn't know that. But they're in, where'd I say? Hold on. They're in Morrow County, Ohio, north of Columbus is where I'm sending this lure to. The Cardington Lincoln High School FFA is doing it. So it's kind of exciting. I don't know why my mom's running a fever, so my wife keeps going in and out of her room. That's why you keep hearing that alarm go off. Just checking on her. But looks like the graphs did pretty well from what I can tell right now. Every cup has some wax on it. Some have more wax on it than the others. One thing, I was setting up a starter finisher before the one that I just set up, and I accidentally put a queen in it, right? So that's the queen that I've been grafting off of, and she's already taken that Lysant Poly 10 frame colony, and it's packed now. So I added a box on it today, a poly box on it, and baited up. I call it baited, but seeded, as Brad calls it, seeded up one frame up, put a few, like 4 older combs in there, and then some foundation, so they have something to work on. Put the feeder back on top. Some kind of queen excluder on the entrance of your cell builder. Okay, see, I didn't know anything about that. Explain that one to me. I don't know that one. They did suck down the rest of their feed they had in the top too. So that's the first time I heard about putting a queen excluder on the entrance of the cell builder. Let's see. Oh, I gotcha. So virgins don't fly in and destroy it. I'll have to definitely figure that one out, how I'm going to do that, because it's on a licensed poly nuke right now. 6-frame licensed poly. So that's everything that's been, going on around here today. Not a ton as far as actual beekeeping. I did check the 24 hours, did a quick inspection. There's bees on all the cups. Some of them, and I don't know, it could have something to do with the age of the larva being a little bit different, and some of them not having as much royal jelly. But I saw bees, sticking their head in the cups, and just if I have a plastic one, just cut it. You know what? I think, if I'm not mistaken, one of those entrances actually is a queen excluder type of entrance. One of the plastic slides on it. I'll have to look and see, because I can probably put that on there real easy and make that work. But yeah, they're doing good right now. So we're just gonna wait the time now. Friday, the cell should be capped. I should be able to pull them out. And I just saw Grayson's thing where, some people are a fan of using an incubator. Some people aren't. I'm going to use it. So I found something interesting today, that one of my Chinese cell bars will actually allow me to set my queen. Whoop, and it popped apart when I did that. But will let me set my queen cages right on it like that. So if I've got the cell, I can just put the cell in the top, and now it's standing upright. So what I'm probably going to do is drill a hole here and attach it to a piece of wood, because this is a cheap Chinese one I got off Amazon. I can just pull them apart, right? I can actually put them on a piece of wood, drill a hole in the end so they stay up and won't fall over, and then I can just mash my whole queen cage, my queen roller cage, right on it, and then just put the cell in the top from the JZBZ. And then when it hatches out, I can take that cup out. I'm going to put candy in that end to keep her from going in there, but then I can just plug her in. But I don't plan for her to be in these that long. So, in case something happens. And so that's kind of what I'm thinking on doing. Even if I drill a hole like in one of these pieces over here to be able to attach this to a piece of wood to keep it from tipping over, and being able just to set this up. Yep. And then I'm going to listen to all you guys about putting honey in one of these little deals right there, right? One of these little slots, or two of them. So she's got something to eat, just in case I'm not around when she decides to break out of jail, so to speak. And so that's the goal. That's the plan. And I've already got the incubator set at 93 degrees. I've got water in it, so the humidity is setting up. Yeah, the licensed poly nuke that she's in, I'm pretty sure that one of the entrances is a queen excluder entrance. So I should be able to set roller cages all the way, hopefully on every one of these. I haven't tried it on every one, but let's just see. Let's just see, shall we? I mean, these little bars will hold, maybe I can't set it on every single one. Oh yeah, I would have to do it on every other one, because if I put them right next to each other, they won't actually go on the thing. So 3, 4, yeah, might be cutting it close with this method, because like 4 go on half, so that means I can get 8 on one bar. 8, it's got 4 bars, so I should be able to get 16, right? Let me see. Yeah, should be able to put 16 on there. And I went and bought another one of these grafting frames, so I'll be able to graft another round, so when I pull those out, I can drop this back in. So we're gonna try to get it going, guys, and if that'll set up, and I can get my queens to stand up in there without falling over. This must be the best Chinese engineering out there. The lids don't even want to close. And just can't believe nobody wants to click that link tonight. And so I can have 32 queens at one time in the incubator with this deal, if they're screwed to pieces of wood, right? So if I had 4 little pieces of wood that are wider, like a foot, so they won't flip over, and have these screwed down to it, I don't care if I destroy this or not, as long as it holds it up, right? Holds them upright. And then I could put 4 around the outside, and so that should work, because that's all I have. Or heck, I could put them on one piece of wood and just have them staggered like that as well. I have 2 staggered, so I just don't have more than 4 of these frames to do it at one time. So that's the goal. That's what we're working on. So hopefully you guys are having a good day, and everything is going well for you guys. The queen grafting itself was the easy part. The actual physical grafting was not that difficult to me. The more challenging part for me was making sure I've got the starter finisher set up appropriately, and making sure that was correct. So my hatch date. All right, boom. Let's look at it. Present, share screen, window, this window, share, add to screen, and we'll give it the big view. So I grafted on the 26th, right here, 26th graft day. Monday, transferring grafted frame to cell finisher. I'm not worried about that. Wednesday is check the graphs, but I already peeked in on them. Hatch day is the 9th. Thursday the 9th. Queens emerge. Friday, queen cells are capped this Friday. Don't touch them, it says, during the next 4 days. Tuesday, make up queenless mating nukes. Transfer queen cells to queenless mating nukes on Wednesday. But I'm probably going to make up my queenless nukes based on how many queen cells I have, right? How many queens hatch out. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now. Did I just rub swarm lure in my eye? I think so. But this is a pretty cool tool James sent me. So that's the goal. They should hatch on Thursday the 9th. And tomorrow's the last day of February, right? So stop that screen share. What would it look like in a deep frame while you have it there by attaching them? Hey, Stuffy. So this frame right here, I only did 7 per bar, so I've got 21. So I just spaced them out every other one. So I've got 7 cups here, 7 cups here, and 7 cups here. Right now, what I can tell you about the frame after 24 hours is that every one of those cups has some wax around it. Now, some of them have more, but every one of the cups had bees working it and, you know, sticking their heads in, feeding them, or drawing it out. So, let me see. Mating flights should be 14th or 15th is what it's saying. And then, said, yep, around the 20, says, check nuke for eggs on the 28th is what it's saying. So that's kind of the goal. That's what we're doing. We're just working on it. And I'm planning to have another round grafted up. So when I pull that frame out to move the cells to the incubator, I'll drop in fresh grafts right behind it so they can start working on queen cells again. So that's the goal. Will I have more than I need? Hopefully. Really, I'm planning to try to have more than I need just so I can, you know, not every queen that gets grafted, every cell is going to fly out and get mated, right? Not every virgin is going to come back. So trying to get it going. So we'll see, you know, but it looks like they're all working on them. Obviously things can happen. Things will change. Maybe something happens in the meanwhile. We'll see. Right now it's looking good, and we'll see this week. And I'll try to get that on video when I actually check the starter finisher. And I'll tell you what, that Lysin poly nuke, or not the nuke, but the 10 frame polyhive that thing is blowing up. The queen that accidentally got put in there was the queen that I was planning to graft from anyway, but I accidentally moved her when I was trying to set up a starter finisher, and I came out and there's a queen and eggs and everything. So I just left them in there. I didn't move them back or anything crazy. I just left them like a split, and that thing has filled that whole box up. They've drawn the comb up. I actually had to add another Lysin deep on top of it. It's going insane in there. That's a good queen, and that's the queen that I'm grafting from. So hopefully, knock on wood, that the queens that come out that I've grafted will also be great queens. So that's kind of the goal right now. And oh yeah, for sure, everybody's got different goals, DC, and different setups. The only thing about walkaway splits, okay, so here's a scenario. You got a queenless hive and you don't realize it right away. You come out and you put in some eggs and larvae, right, for them to raise their own queen. They're going to pick the best one they can pick, or the best ones, right, that they can pick. Great. Bees did a great job. They know what they're doing. They pick it. The first one hatches out. It kills all the other ones most of the time. Then it flies out, right? And when it flies out, let's say it doesn't get mated or doesn't come back. Well, that first process took you 16 days. Okay? and so if that didn't work, well, now all that larva is too old. So now you got to repeat it again. That's another 16 days. So that's now 32 days of them just raising queens without getting mated, right? without getting mated. So now you got to go back and if you're going to try it a third time, that's another 16 days. It just keeps going and going and going. I am top feeding my queen that is my queen that I'm grafting from. I'm feeding my starter finisher, and I've got open feed for everybody else. So everybody else can go get feed whenever they want it, if they need it. Now, if there's so I think that it's gonna work out good. That I'll tell you what, guys, I was not going to spend the money on poly hives, anything. I just thought they were too expensive. And looking at the way that split I made compared to some of my overwintered colonies, my split is in way better shape than my overwintered colonies are. Some of them, not all of them, some of them, it's in better shape than those guys. And I'm like, and they've had all the stores, all the resources, all the bees, they've been mite treated and everything. But I put them in that split in that Lyson colony, and they went from about 3-4 frames of brood in a queen to now they're covering 10 frames. Matter of fact, I sent James a picture of it, which it might be hard to see. Let me see if I show the phone. And there it is. But check this out. Now, they're not a lot on the, well, you can't even see it, really. There's not a lot on the top frames, but if you see in between, there's bees in between every single frame. She's going to town, and she's brooded up, and she's ready to rock. And why that's better than my other colonies, don't know. No idea. I haven't seen dragonflies here yet. I've seen, the birds and all. Or maybe this is better if I do it like that. So, no. I don't want to show the phone. There you go. That's better. But there's bees in every single frame of those girls. That queen is kicking butt. So I'm happy with that colony. Hey, James. And I added another box on it, and they haven't taken all their feed down, but I did. They're doing good. I can't complain. Yeah, if it works right. There's queens being made everywhere right now. At least if they tell me, if the queen breeder tells me I can pick queen cells up the first week in March, well, yeah, I did add the second box on there today. And if I can buy them from them the first week in March, then there's no reason why I can't make them so they're ready in the first week of March. So it's the same thing as if I went and bought them. The only thing is I didn't buy them. I made them, right? So whatever it is, whatever amount I make, I just made. So we'll see. It won't be more than 21, but it could be in the teens at this point. So I'm excited about that. Hey, James, this is what I'm talking about right here. I'm going to screw this piece down to a wider piece of wood. And hold it up in the incubator like that. I can't put them side by side, but I can space them out, and I can put 32 in my incubator like that. So that's the setup. I'm just going to drill holes and run screws into a piece of wood to hold these up. Hell, I could probably find an old picture frame and just put them on Screw them onto the picture frame. All right, so let me see. Question on those plastic cage. These? No, so okay, so you know what? I got them right here. All right, so the queen cup, these queen cups won't fit in the key. They won't plug the hole, right? They won't plug the hole. But when I take them off, I'm going to have this attached to the board so I could put the cell right on top. And then when they hatch out, this piece on the bottom is just to keep these standing up in the incubator. So I'm just going to attach this piece. Well, once they hatch out, yeah, once they get capped and I put these in the incubator, once they're out of the incubator, then they're going to go into a split of some sort, you know, either a 5-frame nuke, probably in my Pro Nukes over there. And we're going to make us some bees. And hopefully, you know, knock on wood, that we get a good return rate from the queens on the on their mating flights. The longer a queen does not lay, the more her quality will, the less her quality will be. So I'm just gonna, and you know, there should be wax on here, so it should be a little bit easier. It's just gonna set in there. So when they hatch out, they'll be in this area, right? Then I can take that off, grab her, mark her if I want to, or just introduce her into a colony by taking the whole thing off, right? Walking outside, opening the lid, let her walk in. Well, hey, don't feel bad. This is a rebuilding year for me too. So, I mean, I've got colonies. Luckily, I've still got stuff to work with, but definitely going to we're turning this franchise around this year differently. And I've already had people looking to buy queen cells. My mentor said he would buy every queen cell I can provide him for his nukes that I'm not using. So, and then I had people at the bee store asking, "Oh, you do queens?" Well, I am this year. Yeah, I do queens. Been doing them for years. No, just kidding. I said I just grafted the other day, so I told him we'll have cells this weekend if he wants them. So we'll see what they're talking about here. DC, what? How many colonies you got left? Oh yes, Sam is Sam stopped by today. That's why I even checked the graphs. Otherwise, I wouldn't even looked in there yet. But definitely, you know, if Sam can get queen cells, he can make his splits for his nukes. That's what he's going for. Maybe 2 nukes at the moment. Yeah, well, that sucks, man. So hopefully, how much longer do you have on winter over there, DC, before things are starting to warm up for you guys? Makes 25 tubes. My old shirt. And my whole room smells like swarm lure today. I bottled up another, I don't know, 300 bottles today. Yep, that's it. That's everything. I mean, that's how I'm doing it too, Charlie. No, Sam sells nukes. That's his whole business model. He does That's why everything he's got is in nukes. He splits the nukes, gives them a queen. Hey, Amir. And that's what that's his whole thing. You got to, if you want to buy one of his nukes, though, you got to go to Craigslist to find it. Amir's selling nukes too. I think Amir's nukes are too cheap. You're too cheap, Amir. Raise your prices. You're making us look bad. Schrodinger's bees. There were bees when I condensed them down and packed them full of honey and pollen patty 2 weeks ago. Well, hoping that that those make it, DC, for sure. It's tough. This time of year is tough because it's not quite nectar flow. There's a little bit, but not a lot, right? And so a lot of times you got to worry about them starving out this time of year. That's it. Raising your own. That's what my goal is to requeen my colony, especially the crappy ones, and get them going. Yes, I do make Swarm Rustler. Yes, I do, sir. I've got too much junk around here to show you, but maybe I could show you a part of it. There's my bottles and caps underneath it, and I bottled up about 5 gallons worth earlier today right there. And that's my stash for making the bullets right there. So, and I took all of those bottles to my loving wife. And got that going. So I've got a few things on my website, Mike. Not a ton of stuff, but I've got the lure, I've got the Apis Biologics, the rocket fuel. I've got I got one Saracel shaker cup left until they come in. I've got queen marking pins that I've ordered that have just been put on back order for a week. So we're waiting on them as well. 4 to 7 days they sent me the email before they send them out. Oh, there he is. Charlie.
Hey.
What's up, man? What have you been doing?
Just trying to catch up with some stuff here.
Well, we finally got it today.
Got what?
We got the yellow cloud of pollen started here today. Pollen all over the cars, the pine pollen.
Mm-hmm.
It's all over my car, my truck.
And you graphed it, right? Sunday?
Man, where you been? I grafted Sunday. I even went and took a little quick peek in them today and put them right back down just to see if they were working on them. Right now, I'm hopeful. Every one of the cups has a little ring of wax on it. And some of them have maybe even a little cup on them already. So
good.
So I'm hopeful that I'll get better than 50% at this rate. And then that damn Lyson 10 framer that I was setting up for my starter finisher at first, that I accidentally moved a queen into, the queen that I was planning to graft from.
Right.
I only put like 3 or 4 frames of brood in there in the queen, right? They're on 10 frames. I already added a second Lyson poly box on top of it. And seeded.
All right, so now this 10 frame is a split, or what is it? It's
okay.
What?
So the 10 framer, I was starting it. I was trying to start my starter finisher. This was before the 6 framer, right? And I said, well, I'll just put them over in this 10 framer, and because I don't know when I'm going to graft, right? I'm just going to put them in there. But I accidentally grabbed the queen.
Put it in there.
And she was in there. The queen that I was planning to graft from is in that box. and she's going ape in there. I mean, that split that I made looks better than some of my overwintered colonies right now. And I'm like, how in the hell is that even possible?
Insulation?
That I don't know. I
It
don't
could be.
know.
I mean, the thing of it is, if you have that thing insulated, you don't have all them swings of temperature. It's constant in there.
But you know, some of those 6-framers that I've set up with the little nukes, they're not really, I mean, they're growing, but they're not boom. They didn't go from 4 frames to 10 frames like magic, you know.
And 6-framers are the poly hives.
The poly nukes, yep. But I will say that my little carnies that are in the that are in single deeps I was worried if they were even going to make it. They're starting to grow out a little bit. They're not like that Lyson colony, but they are growing out. So maybe they're getting ready to kick it in too. We'll see. But that queen, I don't know. She's on.
Is she a new queen?
That was the last year queen. This is her second year, but she's going crazy. So hopefully, if genetics play in our favor, then she'll be.
Hey everyone. Hey James.
James is still driving probably. I saw his little short when he picked up his 15% patties today. Up in Canada. And it's
was she new late last year? That's what James said.
That colony is the colony I did the demarray on last year. So no, this is her second. No, she was. You know what? She may have. I think I did requeen that last year with one of Jose's queens.
One of a young queen.
Yeah, it was a young queen, but she's going insane over there in that box.
That's good.
And I was.
Let's see now. You grafted Sunday, right?
Grafted Sunday.
So they should be capped on
Friday.
Saturday.
Nope. Friday. Queen cells are capped on Friday. Should be
Friday. Okay. All right. Now it's time to get your incubator situation.
Already done.
What do you do? What'd you come up with?
Well, so I've got the incubator set up. I already set it at 93 degrees.
Yeah.
And filled the bottom tray full of water. So it's getting the humidity right. And then what I've come up with, you remember that cheap Chinese bar? These cheap Chinese bars, right? From that cheap plastic one, right?
Okay, yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these, and you notice how the roller cage fits right on there.
Oh.
So I'm going to take a flat piece of wood, and I'm just going to drill a hole and run screws through this to hold it on the wood.
Whiabsolutely, yeah.
And then I've got 32 half sections that I can put on wherever. And if I have a wide board, like even a piece of I don't know, fence decking or a fence
like a 1x4 or 1x6, whatever. You could just screw them all the way, side by side.
I could even put like 2 of them on one board or something like that, as long as one.
It's either that or put the board crossways, like make feet.
Well, I found that if I had this whole thing together, that I would have to put it in my incubator at an angle because it's too long. So
no, what I'm saying is instead of the board going the length of the piece,
I have to run this way.
Put a piece this way, put a foot down here and a foot on the other end.
Right. So
So you have
the
two
board part
individual
this way.
pieces. Yeah, two individual pieces. You can
And I
move
can
them
just
anyway.
screw those in. Yep. And then just make sure that the caps are closed good on the ends.
Well, the JZBZ cup ought to just fit right with the cell, ought to fit right down in there.
And then after I remove that cell, I can just take one of these that I'm not using, right? I'm not going to use this setup, but it came with
Right.
the roller cage. And I can just plug the end. I could actually, I'm probably going to put some fondant down in there so she can't get her head back in there. Not that I think that would hurt her any, but no, I don't have the mic open. Charlie's got a little echo.
I do.
Mm-hmm. A little bit.
1, 2.
That's better.
I got the other thing muted.
So that's the plan, Charlie. And now we got a plan. I don't often have plans, but I got a plan for this.
Well, everything's on a schedule. You got to have it right before you need it.
And then I did a thing today. I went and bought a second one. So when I pull the graft frame out, I'm going to have this one grafted up to go right back in. So take out the old, put the new one in, and let them go.
Yeah, but don't put it in the same day unless you want to keep on a schedule. You know, every Friday is the cell day, cap cell day. And you're going to take, what is it? You're going to graft on Sunday, right? It's what you did this last time.
Right.
So.
But I'm not real hindered by, I'm always home early enough to do stuff as long as I'm prepared, right? So as long as I have my wherever the cells are going to go set up, I'm trying to get the stuff out of the way and stuff ready to go.
The thing of it is, you just backed up your cell capping by 2 days. Instead of capping on Friday, the following week it's going to be
Wednesday, right?
Wednesday.
So hypothetically, going by the spreadsheet here, if this right now it's saying I would have to transfer queen cells to mate or queenless mating nukes on Wednesday the 8th. So Wednesday the 8th, that means the following week it'd be on Monday.
So if you uncap them, they'll be capped on Friday. So you got Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. The following Wednesday, you have to put them in the 2 cell because by Friday, they're going to be hatched.
Plus, I already got people wanting
cells.
Maybe queen. I said, well, I'll sell the queen or a cell for this much, a virgin for this much. I would rather do that, right? I don't have to worry about the return rate. They have to worry about the return rate. But the guy's like, no, I'd rather have a mated queen. I'm like, dude, you work at a beekeeping supply store. Well, hey, Steve, last year I sold 100 queens that I didn't mate. So
James says stick to your plan. Now, what's your plan?
Oh,
what is your plan?
Was to, when I pull out that frame, drop another frame.
Oh, I know. James says polish the cups. So
I didn't polish the cups this last time. I went cowboy outlaw. So
to be honest with you, I don't polish the cups either. Now you might want to try that. I mean, I'm going to try it, I think. But what I'm getting at is,
yeah, it's practice at this point. Is what he's saying.
Right, but what I'm saying is, why don't you stick to a schedule?
Well, there's no lose for me, and I say that because if I've got more queen cells than I can use, my mentor already told me today, bring them all over here. I'll give you $5 a piece for them for cells. So
That's cheap.
Well, it's my mentor, you know.
Oh yeah. I sold cells at $10 a pop.
So, you were selling them at 10 cells for $10?
Yep.
Well, if any of these daughters end up as good as the one I'm grafting off of, I would have a wonderful yard. They're not pissy bees. She puts it out there. No, polishing the cups, DC, is when you put the cups in there ahead of time, and
the bees clean them.
And the bees clean them out. Then you pull it back out, and then you do it. Yeah, I don't make money on Sam. Sam is a wealth of knowledge, and if I need something, I just go over there. Hey, man, you got this? Yeah, go ahead, get it. You know, it's easy like that. So,
if anything, you're going to give Sam some cells.
Yeah, he said and he told me that you better charge me for those. So I'm like, I ain't worried about it. Whatever, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got me.
If the guy's been helping you out as much as you talk about him, give him some cells.
James says he sees a much higher success with polished cups. Oh, I saw the EP.
I'm going to try it because what I'm going to do is on grafting day, I'm going to put my cell bar in there with the cups at lunchtime. And I always graft in the evenings. And I'll graft in the evenings. They'll be polished after 3 or 4 hours. And go from there.
Well, you know, with Sam's thing, if he sells 100 nukes and I've provided him queens for 100 nukes, then I just made $500, you know, off of queen cells. Yeah. So that's, you know, it is what it is. It's not a lot, but I mean, it's $500 I didn't have. So that's the thing. And
like I say, I mean, if you can keep
that's like $9 million.
If you can keep your schedule right,
that's like 9,987,578 Canadian.
I watched Brad's video today. Did you see Brad's video?
Yeah, where you put the snowmobile.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
So yeah, it's fun stuff, man. I'll tell you what, I'm getting into this. I like it.
Grafting and queen rearing was one of the funnest things you can do.
Well, you feel like you've done something.
Exactly. It's like you going out.
Beekeeping is so
reactive. Planting a tomato plant, and you nurture it along, and you got these beautiful big old, tomatoes that you can slice and put on it, and you can eat. And queen rearing is basically like the same thing.
Well, you know what I liked about it is I came in here to my computer desk, and I've got this little wrist rest thing for your keyboard.
Yeah.
And with that up there, I could lean my grafting frame right on it, and I could look right down into the cups. It was just angled just enough, and it, because of that wood and the dog ear, or the dog ears on the frame and this rest, it left it up just enough. Now I'm sure it's not as fancy schmancy as
now. What did you when you looked at your grafting frame that you're going to graft from? Did you find that you could look at the jelly but you couldn't see anything?
Some I did, and some of them were just very, very small larvae that I could see because I had the magnifier on.
Well, when you're going out to the hive and you just picked it up with your regular glasses on, did you get it to where you saw the eggs and then you seen jelly and that was it?
Yep. So the frame, let's say this was the frame I was
grafting, right?
from. she had the rainbow pattern, right, coming down, and they
Right.
were all down here near the bottom, all of them. It was like capped, larva, eggs, or freshly hatched eggs, and then eggs. It was
Just jelly.
stage. Yep.
All you had was jelly. Is all you could barely see. Now, when you got inside and you put your magnification on, of course, you've seen everything.
Still couldn't see jack shit because I don't see very well. But some of them, I could see some that were definitely a C, and then I saw some that were almost straight open. So
Yeah.
I got those.
Yeah, but you use your magnifying unit, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So do you get it adjusted for your eyes and your glasses?
The best I could tell, I did. Yep. And so far, like I said, they are drawing it out. I mean, they're drawing those cells out. So. And
then, did the light on the unit work for you, or did your flashlight?
Well, I've also got these lights over here on top, and I had that, so I didn't have any problems seeing.
Lighting was good.
I know I need to get one of those really good grafting tables as soon as Amazon starts paying me some money off of Swarm Lure. They get to hold the money for like 2 weeks before I get it. But yeah, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna drill these down to a piece of wood, maybe even about that far apart, and stagger them.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
And that way I can, just have a bank of them. So, it's fun. It's fun. I mean, and then I'm doing the FFA thing. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, I seen that a little. I was still at work, but I caught a little bit of it.
So I'm sending them 10 bottles of lure and 100 bullets. So they're putting 100 swarm traps out in northern Ohio for the FFA. And if those kids get into beekeeping from catching swarms, I'm down for it. Let's send it. Let it go. Let it roll to them. So now the only thing is that they're trying to get the guy that contacted me donated 600 frames to the cause, and they're trying to get more from Acorn. So it's going to be.
Who knows about that?
Yeah, it'll be hard for them to get donated frames for them, at least that much. They may give them a discount, but I don't know about donating.
I think they'd have more potential for Premier than anything else.
Think so?
I don't know. I'm sure Greg Burns would like to donate.
You say that sarcastically?
I don't know, maybe.
I don't know. I can only do what I can do. And they reached out to me through my website, so it's
all right.
Let me see.
So anyway, that sounds good. I mean, it sounds like you're on your way, and it sounds successful.
Well, we'll see. I mean, hopefully it'll get better as I do it,
Now, the other thing is, I want you to think about, instead of doing it that day on that next graph, you might want to go into that. It's a queenless hive, correct? Queenless cell builder?
Yes.
Or, huh?
There's no queen in the cell builder.
It's a 10 framer, or is it a 5 framer?
It's a 6 frame.
6 frame nuke. A license. Okay.
And they drank all of the syrup out of the top of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I loaded them back up today.
And then
they're eating.
How about some pollen patties? How'd that work?
They're eating it. So
what you want to do is this is what I would do. Don't put that graft in there on Friday when you take it out. Put that one in the incubator, get that done. Then go back out there, go through each frame, shake all the bees off, look at it, make sure there's no queen cells that you can see.
Let me see. Jason said, I've left them in overnight for them to polish them, and some colonies fill them full of comb in a couple of hours. A couple of hours is plenty of time for polishing. I also add a drop of honey to the bottom of the cell. That'll get them to go to it, I guess. Well, he actually sent me the address of the school and which school it was, too. I am sending to, I'll say it again. Let me see. Cardington Lincoln High School in rural Morrow County, Ohio, north of Columbus. That's where we're sending them to. So.
He understands what the bullets are for, right?
Yep. They were for the extended release. He mentioned the extended release. So I said I sent him 100 bullets, one for each colony or one for each trap, and 10 bottles of spray should be enough to do 100 swarm traps easy. So
yeah, I would think so.
Well, mainly if they go back and rebait it, that's what I was thinking.
So, you want to go through that box, make sure there's no queen cells, and then you might want to.
Well, there should be nothing for them to queen cell on at this point.
Should be. But go through there. I'm sure you put some frames of cat brood in there, right? Like you told, and they're going to hatch.
Yep.
So maybe let's say if you go through there and there's a frame, and you might want to start writing down the frame positions of what you put in there and what was on each frame. And let's say one of the frame positions was cat brood, and let's say it's all hatched out. Pull that frame out of there and get yourself another fresh frame of brood and put it in there again, because most of the time, from what I read, every 7 days you're going to put a frame of brood in there. That way they will not go lay in worker because there's that fresh.
Well, they've got 2 frames of brood that are capped that haven't
opened up yet.
So
check them next Friday.
Next Friday. Well, I'll be able to tell very easily the population will burst in there.
But what I'm getting at is give you that time that to go from Friday to Saturday to Sunday thing.
Right.
Go in there and say, oh, we need to put another frame or 2 of cat brood in there. And then go around your hives and see if you can find some and pull it out and stick it in there. And you're going to build that population up, plus nurse bees and all that. You want them as fresh as possible.
Well, we're going to get, I've got 4 double deep colonies that are getting ready to get the whack.
What do you mean?
They don't know it yet, but they're getting ready to get split the hell and back. Yep.
Well, if you got double deep,
I've got some double deeps, but I'm letting them right now kind of recharge, right? Because I stole nurse bees from them. I stole frames from them. And now I'm letting them build up to where I know that one pissy colony off to the side on Nuke Row, it's getting broke down and getting new queens. I've got
well, if you can get these queens and then get them up to where.
And the cutout bees are pissy. I mean, they're still mad that they got a new home. So,
but here, let's say you're successful with your cells, put them in an incubator, wait 5 days, and after the 5 days in incubator, then you got those other hives that you say you want to split. Now you got cells, you got queen cells, you can put them in there.
So this is telling me the queen cells will be capped Friday, that I should pull them out on Wednesday. It says transfer queens to queenless mating nuke, but I'm not going to do that. I'm taking them from the cell builder to my
incubator.
So then it says Thursday the queens will emerge. So I imagine between Thursday and Friday, queens will emerge. And
all right. Well, if you take them, put them out. Friday they're going to be capped. Put them in an incubator.
So Thursday will be split day.
So then 5 days later, it's going to be a Wednesday of the following week. And they're going to hatch either Thursday or sometime Friday.
Right.
So Wednesday, you should take them cells out of your incubator and put whatever, how many you want, put them in. You should be making some splits there someplace. You should maybe make the split the
Well,
day
it says on here to make up queenless mating nukes Tuesday the 7th, and then transfer cells on Wednesday.
Yeah,
so
there
I
you go.
gotta
Right,
make my
right.
nukes up on Tuesday.
Yeah, day before. You want them queenless for 24 hours.
And then go back and smash the queen cells that they started, right?
Shake all those bees off because they'll put a queen cell in there and you'll never see it. They'll cover it up, and because they will destroy your cell because they like their own kinfolk, as one guy, Billy Davis used to say. Go in there and destroy all those cells and have only your cell in there.
It got up to 77 degrees here today. I was sweating in the bee yard.
Really? Not here. We got we had a fire down at the mill, so it was maybe 35 to 40 degrees. And then this afternoon, about 2:00, it started raining, and it's been raining it rained and it stopped, and I was able to get something done. Be the fact that we had to be out in the open. And then after that, it's been raining ever since. So it's like 30, 36 degrees, something like that right now.
It's 72 here. Yes,
it is.
Sam 38 does walkways.
38 degrees.
Sam does walkaways. Sam also used foundationless frames too.
-12. So I wonder what that is. It's below 32. That'd be in what?
Cold. Still cold.
It's below freezing, below 0 or 12. I mean, 32.
And that's let me see. That's almost like 100 degrees swing between what his temperature is and my temperature was today.
Yeah. Nah.
But I'm really impressed with that poly deep. It's just huge. The thing is huge. The licensed poly hive is
polystyrene.
Yeah, I mean the 2-inch thick walls on it. I mean it's ginormous. So it's like
10 degrees. I don't see how you stand it.
Well, next month he'll be kicking it in. Charlie's in Maryland. Baltimore.
I'm in Maryland. I'm close to Baltimore. What was it last Thursday? It was 72 degrees here. And by Thursday, Friday, by Saturday, it was 32 and wet, or not. It wasn't raining, but it was so damp in the air. Actually, it flurried snow. So in 2 days, it went from really nice to really cold.
That's what it did to us last year. Southern British Columbia, -1. 30 degrees Fahrenheit. Still getting snow. Well, I don't think I have to worry
about Louisiana Goat House and that's in what, Canada?
It says Southern British Columbia. Yep.
Now is British Columbia, is that the what do you call it, province or whatever? That's the Forest West province of Canada next to the Pacific Ocean?
Jason says I would not claim Baltimore, Charlie.
Me either. I don't even go down there. You don't want to go down there. You get shot.
I think we're pretty much past the cold weather now because that pollen storm has started. So the cloud of pollen, everything gets coated in pollen. My truck is going to look green instead of black. Yeah, I've got, I actually already have that fondant. I'm going to use the fondant, the baker's fondant that I got last year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to use that to plug these cups. So it's, it's I don't know. It's just fun right now. I'm having fun. And last year, it wasn't that fun, to be honest with you. It was kind of like became a job. It's like, oh, I gotta go out here and do this, and that's probably partially why some of my colonies are suffering right now. Right, they're not doing as good because I probably didn't do the job that I should have done, because it was kind of became mundane, right? Doing the same things over and over and over again. But now being able to raise queens is kind of
new and exciting, refreshing,
Yeah, it is. So Canada, it's like a whole nother country. That's funny. Just like that. But yeah, I'm gonna be making you some candy for all them queens you're gonna get ready. Yeah, I've got some in the fridge out there already, but I've got some that's room temperature, that's easier, it's more malleable, right? So it's going to be an interesting couple of weeks for sure. And once, like you said, once you get that routine down where it's just, this is what I'm doing these days, and just see how many we
That's what I say. Stay on schedule. Don't graft until that Sunday.
Well,
but in the meantime, maintenance that hive.
I'm worried about the return rates, right?
It is what it is. It's just there's nothing you can do about that. You can do the grafting part, and if you get 90% acceptance rate, 80% acceptance rate, that's good.
Well, neither one of those two, the two double screen bottom board splits, the vertical splits that we did, they're queens. I didn't see one in either colony. I didn't see any eggs in either colony. So either they were out flying today because it was a nice day, or one of them didn't make it back, or none of them made it back,
Was that where you had queen cells and they uncapped,
and I marked them? Those queens, don't see them anywhere.
And how many weeks has this been?
When did I mark them? Last week, right? That's when I posted up the thing on my
computer. But what I'm getting at is they emerged at what day, or what day did you kind of find them? Was it last week?
Let me see. I found her. When did I marked her? The second queen I marked 5 days ago. So she could be out on a mating flight.
Yeah, she will be. Figure at least 2 weeks before you see any eggs.
The other one I marked 7 days ago. And she was hatched sometime earlier than the second one. So
no, Brian, we're talking queens. Bob is grafted, his first grafting. Would you do 20 cells?
21.
21.
Grafted 21 this first round, just because I didn't want to do 7, 7, and 6, right, to make 20. So I just did 7, 7, and 7 for. I can look at the frame. And so those queens, the first queen, I didn't see any.
Is your bars JZ BZ bars or wooden bars?
JZ BZ.
Good. You'll like them. They're very easy to get the cells off when you pop them off.
Little cups.
Yeah, but the bars that they stick into are plastic, and they come off a whole lot easier than a wooden job.
So, yeah, so this is the exact frame. I bought it for $11 and some change.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, and they hold 15 a piece.
And it's already been trimmed down, right?
You did that?
No, that's how I bought it.
Really?
Already trimmed. and nice thick sidewalls. All one side.
What is that? 3/4 inch?
Yeah, it's the same as the top. So this is a standard top. But like you said, the beauty part of it is that when it's lined up with another frame, there's no beast bait, so they can't bridge that comb and still get around. Oh, you can't see it right there. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty good. I liked it. So I went and bought another one today. They are catching on. Yes. Catching on. But yeah, I'm excited, you know. We'll see how it goes. You know, is it going to be perfect? No. This is my first time. But hey, thanks, Daniel. I appreciate it, buddy. I try to get it out as soon as possible. Sometimes I make 2 trips to the post office during the day. Sometimes I try to get there if the order comes in after my mail runs, but before the post office closes, I try to get it out there. I bought that frame from Blythewood Bee Company.
I'll be back.
This came from Blythewood Bee Company. I don't know if anybody else sells them like that, but everybody was saying to shave them off. And since I bought it like that, it came with 3 of these and 3 of the crossbars. It's not a bad investment for $11. And the let me see. Oh, someone just bought a swarm lure from the Amazon. So I manage orders. Kimberly, thank you, Kimberly. This is going to California. Print out the packing list. Keep things going around here. I work while we're live streaming. Then we'll print out a packing slip. Surprised not more people came on, Charlie.
How many we got on there? 50 or so?
Yeah, 50. I'm just surprised more people didn't click the link and come in tonight.
Oh.
And we'll print us a packing list. So constantly working. I bottled up a bunch today too, Charlie.
You bought what?
I bottled up a bunch of swarm lure today too. So
That's been selling pretty steady.
I've bottled over 1,000 bottles this year. And now that, hey, my buddy, Brian.
Yeah, Brian.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Good to see you. How you doing?
Good. I'm good. I just got out of a meeting, and I wanted to talk to Charlie tonight. We're going to read from Queen Rearing and Bee Breeding.
I've seen that book.
Laidlaw and Page. Okay.
Who's the guy?
It's Harry Laidlaw and Robert Page.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm reading from a chapter around grafting. That's what we're talking about tonight. Yeah. During periods of heavy nectar flow, the bees often build comb on the sealed queen cells, particularly if the cells are made by the alley method. This can be prevented to a large extent by putting a frame or 2 of foundation in a cell builder
Right.
or by using narrow frames for the cell bars. The narrow frames, as wide as a frame bottom bar, permit the bees to cluster on the cells when the adjacent frames are close to it, but do not provide space enough for the bees to build comb on the sides of the cells. It's in a book. You just gotta read it. It's in there.
I don't have that book.
There you go. So now you hang out with people that read those books. I actually, way back when in Thanksgiving, I went to Asheville, and that's when I really started listening to you guys talking about queen rearing. This was the book that I brought on that trip with me. So all those conversations about queen rearing, this was the book that I had in front of me. So it was such a great connection to all those Thanksgiving conversations with Mark Miller. Remember when he dropped in? All those conversations. So when I read that part, I remembered you several times going, that ain't in no book. There's no book saying that. And I heard you say it last night. So I was like, I'm going to find it for her. So there you go.
That's awesome. That's the but you know what? It's just a process, right? So already, just in the last little bit, just being able to apply stuff that we've talked about on the stream for the first time myself, you know, I've got a few people that call me religiously about stuff, and I enjoy talking to people about things, but it's almost like the people that do that and call you, they don't have any time to watch a video, but they got time to talk to me for an hour on the phone. You know, well, why'd you do that? Well, we've been talking about it for months on our stream. Watch the stream. Oh, I don't have time for that. Well, I saw you posted a live video from the bar you were at Saturday night. You know, I'm just.
That's a good idea, Mark.
That's it, right? We should write a book. I tried to get Brian to write a book with me, an ebook.
Dude, I have an outline.
You already started. See,
I have an outline.
I planted the seed,
dude. What do you got? I got an outline.
Well, see, he's a school teacher. He knows how to write.
Well, no. I know this. If ideas stay in my head, they just bounce around from one side of the skull to the other. But if I put them on paper, then they start to get organized, Charlie. So every once in a while, when we're in a stream and I'm in the chat room over here, I've got a Google Doc open and I'm adding ideas into it as they come up in those streams. So,
well, at least you're taking notes.
The seed has been planted.
Yeah, at least you're taking notes, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and it's just like with me, I was thinking about it today, working, you know, about making videos. And there's a lot of folks out there can make videos and they'll do it. I guess it's more like a blog or whatever where, all right, I'm in my hive, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But showing somebody something, but then explaining why you're doing that and the purpose behind it is a huge difference, you know. And I think that's where I kind of am a little bit better at it, where I try to bring out the technical end of it, I guess you would call it, where this is why we're doing it. This is why it's working. And it makes more sense, I think, that way when people view the videos and stuff. At least I hope it does.
So let me tell you the funny story behind this this book that I was talking to Brian about. Brian's like, you know, I just don't think I have time to commit to it. And then
I said I don't have time now. Right. I said I don't have time now, Bob.
And then I'm getting the text. Hey, this would be a good chapter. Hey, this would be a good chapter.
I'm poking the bear. Just letting you know I haven't forgotten about it. Nope.
So it's we were talking about doing an ebook, right? So, and the thing is, you can actually hire somebody, or you can do it yourself and record it, and then you can make it an audio book. So there's options with that. But for people who don't like to read, they can listen to what you're saying. And I like to talk, so that might be something we could do. But it's the premise of our book is basically beekeconomics, right? That's it. I mean, it's about making money with your bees and different ways to make money.
The title is No Life Beekeeper's Guide to Beekeconomics.
Yes,
That's the first draft of the title right there. No Life Beekeeper's Guide to Beekeconomics.
We're getting a little feedback on you.
Or is it from me?
Yeah, we didn't have it beforehand.
I'm muted on YouTube.
I don't hear nothing.
I hear it. Let's see. Do I hear it now? I still hear it a little bit.
And you still hear it.
Might be
See, you
Charlie
heard it
again.
when I was muted.
All right, let me mute.
Hey, Spanky.
Hey,
I don't hear it now. Do you hear it now?
No,
It's you, Charlie.
it's us.
It's not Bob. It can't be me. I do this every night of the week. Just about. Spanky, how's it going?
I got a new microphone. I don't know if it sounds any better.
You sound good. I'm still hearing a little echo, but I still think that's Charlie.
It must be these speakers right up here.
Going back and feeding back into your mic a little bit.
Yeah.
But what you been up to, Spanky?
This and that. Yep.
You growing your seeds?
Appropriately vague.
Yeah.
Well,
And
I've planned
don't
them.
let us really know what you're doing. It's only a chat. It's only a talk show.
I planted them, and they haven't come up yet. I'm still waiting.
Pepper seeds take a while to germinate, right?
It depends on the seeds and the conditions.
I got all my seeds. I went to my local farm center. I picked up a couple of pepper strains, and then I ordered a couple.
Reapers.
I did, in honor of you, Bob. I got some Carolina Reapers to add to the recipe for sure.
You might want to make a special batch with just Reaper because it might be too hot.
Yeah,
No.
we'll see. But I got some hot of the other ones as well. I can always dilute.
I gave a bottle of my hot honey away the other day, basically because I hadn't sold any in a while, and I wanted to see how it tasted after time. It's hotter now than it was when I put it in there.
Nice.
It's just getting hotter. It's
and it's lasting. It's not fermenting or anything.
No.
Nice.
Because of the way I did it, right? So obviously it's kind of mathematical, right? So if you have a percentage of water, well, how do you dissipate that water? You can either evaporate it like Mike does at Coon Lake, or you can add more regular honey to it and average out the moisture level. So that's what I did. I started my batch with my seeds, then I added more honey to distribute and average down, right? Because it was a high moisture content, and then putting more dry honey in it draws the moisture down over the whole batch, and that's how I ended up doing it. Not too scientifically, but obviously it was definitely much thicker. So my batch had jalapeno, it had habanero, it didn't have scotch. Did it have scotch bonnets? I think it did have scotch bonnets, and it had serrano peppers in it. So it was just a garden blend from the grocery store, nothing too crazy, but it's got a little kick to it. Good on Friday.
My problem is last year, I don't know what peppers I used because I have bees on a couple of different farms, and I went to those farmers and I said, give me some peppers. So from both of them, I just got like a bag of varieties. I said, this is what I'm doing. Give me your hot peppers. Give me your smoky peppers. And they went, sure. So I got 2 random bags, So I really don't know what my recipe was last year. So this will really be my first intentional recipe this year, because last year was just a grab bag.
What you got there behind you, Brian? Is that a bottling tank?
Yeah.
So I got a question for you, Brian.
Yeah.
Do you prefer a settling tank or do you prefer a gravity clarifier?
Yeah, so I heard you talking about your next big purchase, and I'll tell you right now that that's not as big of a bottleneck for me right now, because I've already dealt with that bottleneck. And because what you're doing is you're putting a lot of wax into your extractor, which is putting a lot of wax into your strainer, which is slowing it down.
Right.
So my solution, which you're not going to like because you've already bought different equipment, is to buy an uncapping plane. That cuts all the wax, and all the wax goes into my uncapping tank. So my bottleneck, which was my strainer, is no longer my strainer. It might be again, but it's not right now.
I have the heated knives, and in all fairness, other than my initial harvest,
yeah,
I haven't used it since, which is why
you haven't used most of your extracting equipment, though.
No, I've used it all.
Well, that bottling tank?
I've used the bottling tank. I used the uncapping tank.
I'm really excited to see that in action. And I know you want to grow, but that's a pretty sweet honey production line. So,
well, I've
got
got
to throw some honey through it.
I've got about 70 pounds that I'm gonna. Man, it's not using it; it's the cleaning of it that I'm not looking forward to. Pulling out that bottler. And
now, if I had the time and space, Bob, I'd kind of do what Mr. Ed does, is just put it in a bottling tank and let all the wax settle to the top. If you got a couple of days or a week, time's going to do most of the separating.
I did buy the plastic ones like Lee uses that you can set into the 5-gallon pail, but they're only 200 micron. So it's still a slow drain.
Yes, sir.
And if you're pouring a little bit in, filling it up, letting it go down, then you come back an hour or two later, you got to pulse, put some more in there.
Been there. No, I didn't know done that.
I bought the Chinese Panente, the Chinese one, the one from Bailey Bee Supply with the scale on it. So, I got more bottles, and I don't know how it'll work with the plastic bottles though, because plastic likes to fall over, right? So it's like, I don't know if it'll work good with that, or if I just need to go get some glass jars to try it on. But yeah, I've got a 5-gallon pail. Basically, I could fill it all the way up to the lip, and there's some more left over from this last spin I did.
Cool. Yeah, so I look at all like those chain uncappers, and I look at how they mangle the wax, and I see all that wax go into your extractor, and I just want no part of that. I want a system like those knife ones that cut over, that sit on top of the tank and slice. Those are nice.
That's what he's got.
Those are slicing the whole thing off. Those work really well.
But the problem is, if they didn't build the comb out thick enough, then I'm still there with the roller or the fork.
Sure. But 90% of that is taken care of with your honey super management and your frames in your honey super. You put 9 supers in that 10 frame. Most of that is taken care of right there.
Well, you got to start out with 10, right? So they start drawing the wax.
That's
Otherwise,
right.
You'll get a fat frame and then skinny frame, fat frame, skinny frame. So,
but you've got that now.
I'm holding out for Bob and Lee to give up and get everything at their garage sale. That's funny. But it's still sitting down there. I'm gonna pull it out. I was gonna do it this last weekend, but getting those bits of wax out of there is essential for doing that, right?
Your other friend is heat. The hotter it is, the better. So extracting it in 60-degree temperature versus 90-degree temperature, that honey's going to flow so much better for you.
Well, what I did with that honey out there. Obviously, it was an 80-degree day when I uncapped it, and so it flowed well out of the extractor. But then those bits of wax, right? I ended up just letting it go all in the bucket. I didn't try to strain it because it was just taking too long. And then I took it in the house, let all the wax come up to the top, and then I was scooping it off and putting it in a sieve, right? So all the cappings could drain off of it. And then I got those other things. So once I got most of the wax, then I poured it through the sieve to get even more out. And then when I got that bucket full, I just poured it in my bottling tank. But I want to use that machine instead of using my bottling tank. So what I'll do after it's in there, I'll run it back. I'll heat it up. I'll run it back through my bottling valve because it's pneumatic, right? I just step on the pedal and it'll all run out, and let it go through the strainer and get any more it can get out of it. So it should be pretty well filtered out, strained out by that time. And usually that works, but it's getting to be a pain in the ass. That's the problem. Before it was the uncapping and then waiting on the extractor. Now that doesn't take me any time. Now I'm sitting there for hours waiting on my honey to go through strainers.
But what's your micron? I mean, I just looked it up here, and I've got the stainless steel bucket one, which is like 800 and 400 micron.
The one I have is I've got the
Plastic.
double strainer thing, right? But that becomes saturated. It's only that big or so. That becomes saturated with wax really quick. And then I got the 200 micron plastic one that fits inside of a 5-gallon pail.
I don't think I'd go down that low.
Well, it's definitely getting. You
got the uncapping tank. You should, and that slicer ain't slicing really nice.
Well, like I said, I only used it on the first run, right? Because it does slice it nice, but you have to have the wax has to be thick.
Yeah.
If it's not thick, then it's not going to cut.
But then how are you getting the low spots are taken care of? Are you going in there with a hand hot knife or
I've
whatever?
got a roller, and I've got
that roller.
That's why. You got the one with the little tit sticking out there. You're supposed to punch holes in the cells.
and I've got the fork. But
I use a hand plane, and
you got that electric hand plane, right?
Yeah.
The heated one.
Yeah, it's a Maxan hand plane.
Brian's going to get one now. Oh, I saw somebody on the Book of Faces has a 20-frame date ant extractor for $2,000. If someone's looking for one,
you can buy
brand new one
for $1,800.
The 20-frame date ant. No, that's the one that Lee's got. That he says like $2,600 now. Blue Sky.
Yeah, they look like your wooden frame.
They're probably the same. I'm sure they're all getting it from the same place.
That's what I got.
How much was that thing?
That's about.
There's
$200.
all different prices on the internet that you'll find, from 200 down to like 60. I'll tell you what's wrong with it. And Pierce, I talked to the Pierce people at Hive Life, and they said they're working on it because everything else they have has a temperature dial.
Right.
This one just has.
I agree with you 100%, Brian.
So what I'm doing is because I've timed it out. I'm doing 2 frames, and then I'm unplugging it. And then I do another frame as it's unplugged and cooling down. And then by then I can plug it back in. If I don't, it's just going to get too hot. And it's just going to.
And then the honey caramelizes on the darn knife. And then it's like having a dull knife, and you got to clean that off in order to slice good.
And
Hey,
it is
Brian.
just about the width of a medium frame. If it's pulled out really nice, you go down nice, you spin it once, you go down nice again. Now, if it's fat beyond the wood, I found that doing 2 runs is really helpful because you're pulling so much off.
Right.
Now,
But
see,
my
I
solution,
go
Bob, has
across.
been putting no wax into my extractor, so no wax goes into my strainer. That's been
Right.
my
Hey,
biggest solution.
So Brian, you unplug that and then plug it back in.
Yes, sir. It's a pain in the ass.
Have you tried a foot pedal?
I lack those skills to be able to rig
Well, you
something like
just
that
press your
up.
foot on it and it delivers the power to the.
Yeah,
And then when
that'd
you
be
let your
cool.
foot off, so you wouldn't have to unplug it. You just take your foot off the
Well,
pedal.
he's got a switch in that line right there that he can turn it on and off.
Yeah, I can turn it on and off too. I actually just unplug it. That's the way I do
Well,
it.
the
Now,
great
what I
thing
do
is
with
the
that
foot
same,
pedals.
instead of
That's a good
going,
idea though,
you
Spanky.
know, I know you're supposed to go with the length of the frame, but you know what I do? I go across.
I know you do.
You
And
always
whatever
go
works
against
for
the
you.
grain.
And
Yeah,
what I found is if there's like a low spot in there, I can actually go into that low spot and then come up the hill where the high spot is. And I minimize the use of the capping fork on
yeah,
that.
I
And
hate
everything.
that thing. I don't want to use that at all.
Mm. And I minimize that pretty darn good. And but you're right, it needs a
Needs a
thermostat on
temperature
that
dial.
thing,
Yeah, yeah,
big time.
yep. But that's my preferred way to doing it. And maybe I'll get to the point where I'm doing too many frames and it's going to drive me crazy and I'm going to want something more automated. But I was happy with it last year. I guess I have a question for Charlie. You know, we're talking about bottlenecks, and both Bob and I experience bottlenecks because we're scaling up, right? And as we scale up, we solve one bottleneck, and then we're at another. Now,
Yep.
now you're at a place where you're pretty leveled off. What are your bottlenecks? What are like the places that drive you crazy that you're trying to be more efficient with? Now, we've heard you talk about in the bee yard, but is there anything like specifically like this is how can I do this faster?
I guess one of the bottleneck is like after you spin, I'll say a load. I got 18 frame extractor, so you spin 18 frames. Usually 18 frames will give me 50 some pounds of honey, which is bucket for me.
Yeah.
I bring
Yep.
it up to the bottom of the sieve. I stop right there. That way it's low enough you can pour it without spilling.
Yeah.
And that's all the weight I want. I want around 52 pounds, 54. That's all I want in that bucket anyway. And
Here's his bottleneck when he's out of popcorn.
and that's when I have to switch strainers. And like you say, I usually take the strainer outside and I got a squirt gun on the hose and I blow all that stuff out of that
Like pressure
and
wash
dry-
it out.
But then you
dry
gotta
it.
let it dry or blow it out with air, right?
I blow it out with water and then I just take a towel and dry it, you know. You can wipe it off with a like a hand towel, terry cloth hand towel, and you have no problem with it.
I've also
Yeah.
got 2 stainless steels, so I can switch them out if I need to as well. But I do the same thing, Charlie. My extractor right now holds 9 frames, and 2 9-frame runs will fill up a bucket, and that's plenty heavy enough for me.
Yeah.
Well, I did 25 frames the other day, and it gave me, just like you guys, over 5 gallons, right? So
Oh yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I kind of got everything upscaled as far as
Mark said his
Uh,
bottleneck is buying 5-gallon buckets.
I don't
Might
buy
be time to get
5-gallon
the
buckets.
55-gallon
My-
drums.
The buckets are free for me because my sister has a snowball stand, so it gets the what do you call it, the marshmallow in there, and they're all food grade.
Well, you saw all my buckets when I went to get syrup, right? I mean, I've got a buddy of mine that he's the internet guy, the IT guy at a fast food chain, a local fast food chain. So he just has a couple stores saving 5-gallon buckets for me, and I might have to buy some lids now and then, but they're free, and they're pickle buckets. So you want to make sure you clean them real good, or otherwise it smells like pickles, and you might get pickle infused honey. But
no, I guess what I'm saying is, like, I had one of my bottlenecks was I was always using a 5-gallon bucket with the Coleman capper thing that snaps on that 5-gallon bucket to hold my frames. And I was uncapping, and I was using paint strainers, to kind of grab the wax, but then they would slip down into the honey. And then I put a gate on that so I could drain the honey out, which made it easier. Then I went from that to the Hive Butler, and that's what I'm using now.
I was using one of those round, they sell them there. They call them a 5-gallon honey strainer, right? The metal loop with the cone on it. Yeah. But that is useless too, because it hangs down so far in the bucket that it basically touches the bottom. And once you pick it up, or once you get enough honey in there, you have to basically hold that thing up in the air.
Are you talking about the nets?
Yeah, those nets that are on the circle, they're on a ring, and they're a cone shape. I think I threw that thing in the garbage. I mean, it was just.
Also, I had the same principle. I just used paint strainer bucket strainers, and they'll slip and they go in the honey and all that stuff. So that's when I
bought one. I bought one for honey, and it done what you said. And I took and zip tied it further up. I zip tied around the bucket, cinched it in place, and it held up.
So it was up higher in the bucket?
Yeah.
So I bought the Hive Butler and I got rid of that bottleneck, or more of a pain, I guess you would call it. And it's working for me. I was buying a metal drip tank, but it was damaged, so I sent it back. I got the Hive Butler. It's working fine. And, and then the extractor is working fine. And the strainer in the bucket coming out of the extractor. You have about every load you're going to have to blow, clean that sieve out. But with me, I'm not, I might do, if it's a Saturday afternoon, I'll get 4 loads done. This is what always kind of interests me, is that people say, well, I'll spin that set of frames for, 5-10 minutes, let's say 10 minutes, and they're done. And I'm like, I got a motorized one, and I'll go for 20 some minutes, because I'll take a flashlight and look down and turn it on, and it goes through that clear plastic top, and I'll watch how much spit's coming out onto those walls to where it gets to the point where it's barely spitting anything. And then okay, I'm done.
And then I did this last week. I spun it all out. All the frames were light, but I still had 3 that were still kind of heavy. I'm like,
they have it's like there's an air pocket that gets into those cells or something.
So it was like,
and then I get a few of them occasionally where I'll take everything out, put them in the boxes, and I'll put those back in and try to balance the load out, and I'll spin them again.
There's a hack for you. Drill 3/4 holes in the bottom of the top bucket, cut the lid almost totally out of the bottom bucket with the gate valve. Strainer goes on and runs into the bottom bucket.
Yeah, that's okay for smaller amounts. I've done that too. But once
Silver Gorilla's got hundreds of hives.
Yeah.
Too. So he's doing lots of. The other thing is, what I was thinking is, I've got that nice uncapping tank. I could just, it's got the stainless steel slotted grates in it. I could just take a 5-gallon strainer cloth and line that, and just take the whole bucket and pour it right through the strainer of my uncapping table, and let it come down through the bottom, and just harvest it out of the bottom.
Well, why don't you do this? Why don't put the 200 micron in there? Put a coarse in there. If you got a lot of wax in your spinner, put on the coarse one, like a 600 or a 400 or something like that. No more than, I think mine's no more than 400 on the fine one. Let's say a 600 or 800. Let all your, honey go through that, get it in your bucket, fill your bucket up, and then come back and do another sitting.
I guess I'm not understanding what you're describing, Silver Gorilla. Yeah, you clearly know what you're doing. Yeah.
Do you need to make your pickup from Domino on Saturday? No, I just went this past Saturday. I picked up 27 5-gallon pails. I don't go every week.
There's some pretty good comments about bottlenecks. Mark talked about buckets, and some people talked about getting free buckets, pickle buckets, and what is the time investment in getting the smells out of buckets, and is it worth it to just buy a
new? It depends on what was in the bucket.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right? See, the buckets that I get, I don't have any smells at all.
Yeah, and then James has talked about, Charlie, going back to your bottleneck of a hive lift. That's definitely something you've talked about.
I think that's the only piece of equipment I can think of right now that I really need. I think I need.
How do you separate your honey from your wax?
I have the sieve that goes right in from, out of the extractor. Right? Oh, you mean as far as uncapping wax?
Yeah.
I use a hive butler.
And you just let it drain out, and you don't do anything
I let it
with
sit
the
there
rest
for
of
about
the
a
honey.
week. I'll let it sit there for about a week.
Yeah.
And then I'll go in there with my hands and I'll sit there and toss that wax up. And the top wax will get dry, and all the stuff in the bottom's a little bit tacky. And
gotcha.
I'll pick off.
I let mine sit there for about a week, and then I take them out and put them in a black tote and give them to my bees to clean all the way off.
Yeah, I've done that too. You guys don't have any like presses or anything to press the wax, or a wax spinner or anything?
I mean, how much, I mean, I found, I've watched it where, you uncap and come back, I'll set that uncapping tank over there off to the side. And like you say, it's 90 degrees. Yeah. And that wax will drain out of there, and I'll fluff it up to let it drain better. And then I'll get it to point where the top part of it is kind of dry. So I'll take a 5-gallon bucket, not smashed tight, just something fluffy, and put it in a 5-gallon bucket. And then the rest of it's kind of tacky, and I'll fluff it up with my hands and let it drain. And the other stuff, I take it out to my solar wax melter. And yeah, there's some, what do you call it? Honey residue in the wax melter, but you can only get.
All you got to do is, once you do that, is you take that block of wax out, you rinse it off, rinse the wax off, rinse the pan out, and then you just put that block back on your solar wax melter, and it'll render it again.
I think you guys will be surprised at how much honey is left in the wax. I've done that too. Yeah. I've chopped it up with a knife to get it really fine, and then I've put it in a press, and I've paid for that press in the honey that's come out of that wax with just 1 or 2 presses. The problem is it's a giant pain in the ass to use. It's super manual, and it's really slow. Yeah, there you go. That's right. So I have paid for my press, but I don't want to use it because it's a pain. So I was just asking because I know how much honey I've pressed out of my wax with something that.
How much do you figure you pulled back?
It did not take me long to get $100 worth of honey, Charlie.
10 pounds. Okay.
Yeah, not very long at all. And I do the same thing too. I feed it back to my bees because I don't want to waste that honey. But I got to the point where I just don't want to deal with the press anymore, and I'm looking for more efficient ways. So that's why I was asking you what you do with yours. So it sounds like you're
I fluff it up,
okay
and
with that. Yeah,
I fluff it up. I put it in my wax melter. And then you can see a little bit of honey kind of in the water where it melts into. And then I take that, take that water and get yourself a little pan and pour that out into a pan and put some rocks or whatever so the bees can get to it. And they will eat that right up in a heartbeat, and put it back into the hive.
Yep.
I'm like, hey, you could, it's you kind of weigh out your time and like you say,
Exactly.
that press gets to be a real pain in the butt. I
Yep.
mean, I don't have one, but I think I've seen a couple of people use it. I'm like, I ain't doing that. The hell with that. It's like gold. Today, people go out to the tailings elevator is what they used to call it, pile, and they'll get so many ounces of gold after working, 8 hours of sifting and panning. Well, why is that gold there? Because gold wasn't as the price per gold per ounce was not that high when they originally mined it out. So they went out there and they got the bulky, heavy stuff out,
Yep.
and the little bit what was left was like, it ain't worth what wasn't worth their time at that time.
Well,
So now people are basically remining what's been already mined. That
Exactly,
people have passed over.
and it's like for us here at the mill, people were bringing, as we call them, limb logs, the limbs of the trees. Let's say a walnut log or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, well, it's, they're thinking they really got a gold mine here. I says the gold mine was in the trunk, and the people who harvested the tree took that, and then all you got is the scraps, and it's like you didn't get anything out of it, and we look at that like it's it's firewood.
Cajun asked, what kind of press is it?
It's like a cider press.
Cider press. You can buy them on Amazon.
Yep.
Well, hey, I will say this. So, Charlie, we had the discussion before I bought my equipment that, well, you only need X number of bottles of honey to pay for that equipment. Yeah. And I will say that I've I've harvested a good 500 pounds of honey and sold it this year. So,
all right, that's $5,000.
That paid for my extractor, that paid for my bottling tank, and that paid for my uncapping setup. So,
right.
pretty
so yeah, and it's like I told you before you bought your stuff, you were thinking about a 20 or an 8 or a 30 frame extractor. I said, you got to make the decision. Are you really going to go to 30 plus hives?
Oh, I think I said 13 or 1400 gallons. I meant 13 or 1400 pounds. My bad. That's still a lot of honey.
It's a little different, but that's still a lot of honey.
Lots of honey.
And I'm right around 1,000 pounds of honey.
That's where I was at this year.
I mean, 2 years ago was 1,100 pounds. This year was like 100 or 845 pounds, I think it was, because he trimmed the trees on me. So if I get around 1,000 pounds, that gets me through from one season to the next. I don't have to buy any honey from anybody else. And it's like any other business, figure 5 years. You're buying.
I'm ahead of that curve, though. I'm ahead of that curve in my honey business. In my
well, what I'm getting at is you got all these different pieces of equipment or input costs, like your bottles, your caps, and all these different things, your labels. And, over a period of 5 years, you should be able to.
I was printing those labels myself. And now I'm thinking that it's probably just as cheap to order them and have them professionally done like I do for my swarm lure. I mean, the time savings, the ink savings, I still have the time of labeling the bottle.
I don't know. But the labels I'm getting now are from Man Lake, and they really like to charge the living daylights out of them.
Well, yeah, don't buy them from Man Lake. I mean, you already have a design for your label, right? So,
it's a stock. All it is just a stock label that you buy from Man Lake.
I bought 2,000 labels for Swarm Lure, and those 2,000 labels cost me $154. So, let's do that math. $154 divided by 2,000, 77 cents. No, that can't be right? Oh, duh. Let's try again. $154 divided by 2,000, not 200, is 7.7 cents. So 8 cents. 8 cents a label. That's cheaper than what I can buy the packs and print them myself for by half. I think I was 14 cents a label doing it the other way. Now, granted, they're not on a pretty roll. If you get them on the pretty roll, you're going to pay through the nose for them. But if you just get labels in a box like I do for my swarm lure, you can change it. And I think the biggest benefit to doing that, and Brian will probably agree with me on this, is your label will be different than everybody else's label. When you buy from Man Lake and Better Bee, you're buying the same basic format label as everybody else.
Yeah, it's true.
And some people
Charlie has a different business model where he doesn't have to stand out on the shelf because people come to him. Now,
right.
I'll still argue Charlie needs a logo. He needs to go pay someone to get him a logo, spend $500 and have your brand. And
you don't even have
maybe
to
he
do
doesn't
that,
care
Charlie.
about that kind of stuff, but that's
you
where
can go on Fiverr and you can say, this is what I want. I want a honey label. And this is what I want, things I want on it. And the guy on Fiverr will come back to you and give you several different options. And you can say, or, oh yeah, I really like this one, but I wish this was different. And then they'll change that for you. And then you got those files on your computer that you can upload to the label printer for like $75 and probably cheaper than that. You can probably get somebody cheaper to do that. His
actually, Paul, he's got a really cool logo already made. If you saw his hoodie at Hive Life, Charlie's got a really cool logo. He just needs someone to clean it up, make a file out of it, and then you can put it on.
You mean the sawmill thing?
Yeah, I like that. That was really cool.
So let me give you a hint.
It really represented your identity as who you are. Really.
Yeah, we worked a month or two on that with a lady in my club.
So take that picture and send it to Lee, and he'll put it in a Photoshop, and he will get it sized up where you need it to be and everything for you. No background. You could put a different background or whatever you want behind it and make it look. Let me see. Bigger the label, $4.
Wait, what? Clean Charlie up? What? I don't.
Wait, what? Clean Charlie up? The logo. Hoodie, Gangster Charlie. Bucks Bees. Darlington, South Carolina, 24 ounce. So these are 2-inch by 4-inch. And they have all different sizes, so it's going to change the price. But even on a 2x4, let me clean this off. But something that size would work relatively good on a.
It's designed for a round bottle. I use honey bottles.
But I could change whatever I want. I could even put the nutrition information on part of it, right?
I don't even worry about that.
So, I mean,
I don't worry about that either. But one of the benefits is, I use Avery, but I bet just about every other program system would do this. You can take that design and apply it to different stickers, different shapes, different sizes, and it can take one design and apply it to whatever bottle you change your mind and you decide you want to use or add to your.
Or you could take that one thing, and I know in Uprint, you can put it over there and you can just drag the corners and it'll just size it to the label you want and, change the dimensions, and it works perfect. So, yeah, that's a pint jar right there. This is a ball, but I get the Golden Harvest ones a lot when I'm doing the pint jars. People like the jar. I like the glass too, but my problem is getting glass bottles and the shipping with it, right? So that's kind of the issue. The pint jars, people here in the country don't mind them. They like them. They can reuse them, if they want to or whatever. But definitely having your own look. I like it. It sets me aside. Even the ones I made for Hard Luck Honey. when he bought his case. Or actually, he bought a case of 1 pound. He bought 12 bottles. And since I was printing his own labels, I made him his own special label to put on there, right? He bought it. Just cool. He's not reselling it. He's just using it. It was just a thing for another channel. What do you
So Paul,
your unit
yeah,
price label and name?
I'll answer Paul's question, and it has to do with volume. You know, you buy 200 stickers, you're going to get a very different price than you buy 1,000 stickers. One of the cool things about Avery is they always threw out like little coupon codes. So if you're patient, you'll hit like a 15% or 20% coupon code if you watch and look for those kind of flash sale kind of things. My price for a jar and sticker is about $1.50. So that's glass jar plus label plus a sealing label. So that's one large 2x4 sticker plus a tiny little sticker plus a glass jar. It's about $1.50. I incorporate that into my price. Yeah, that's it. And I've said this before. I believe that if you wrap your product up nicely, you can get a better price out of it. It adds to the value of it. It adds to the appeal. It adds to the potential for that product where it now looks like a present. Whereas it was a food, like pint jars are great. And I believe know your customer base. And if your customers want pint jars, give your customers pint jars. But if you're in a market where you're selling like Christmas presents, people don't want pint jars. They want something that looks like a nice Christmas present.
It's all about packaging.
That's right. And knowing your customers too, Charlie. Like I said, you might not need a label if you've already got your customers walking into your store buying honey. But if you've got 10 different honeys on a shelf, or if you want to stand out in a local community as the local beekeeper, you've got to have some sort of way to make yourself recognizable. So that's the
well, it's like I have some customers, they'll bring quart jars. They want it in glass. And I had one other lady, she was buying 3-pounders from me. She said, I like glass. I said, well, yeah, you got quart jars? She said, yeah. I said, well, as long as they're washed, I will fill them for you. She was happy about that. So, I have one lady that buys over $400 worth of honey from me, and they're all, I put all the honey in her own personal jars and stuff. So it doesn't matter to me as long as, whatever they want to do and all. But no, as far as the bottlenecks or whatever else, I pretty much got it where I want it, as far as the equipment. I've got pretty much all the equipment I need, except for maybe that hive lifter. I'm not sure whether I'm going to try to do a little something different this year about extracting as they get capping, and I don't have to have towers of honey out there, and see whether that works for me better. And all that, and we'll see what happens. If I only have to lift a few boxes off, every time to check the brood area, and it's another thing I'm going to do instead of going in there and equalizing on every week. I'm going to try to equalize, let's say every 2 weeks. About every 2 weeks through the honey season. And if I don't have any swarm problems that way, then that'll be less work for me. So I've watched a couple of videos tonight about the guy up in Canada there, and he's talking about single brood chamber management and putting honey supers on, and giving the bee space, and I'm like, he went through this one hive. I think it had 10 frames in it, and I'm gonna say 8 out of the 10 were all brood frames, and I'm like, man, I think I'd have to take half of that out of there. And, there was one that wasn't swarming yet, and there was one that was definitely getting ready to swarm. But I often want, he put like 4 supers of honey on top of the one that was getting ready to swarm after he had killed all the swarm cells. And I'm like, well, is that going to really help? Or are they just going to go back and make more swarm cells? I don't know. So
Paul, I used to go to Office Depot and then print them myself, but that's way too expensive. That was great when I was experimenting and trying different recipes. But now that I've got everything dialed in, I just order straight from Avery, and I'm buying like 500, 1,000 at a time. So,
well, do you get Avery to print them then for you?
Yep.
I didn't know they do that.
Yep, they can do it. You can print them off yourself, or you can ask them to do it. They can do, like Bob said, it's a lot easier to get it in sheets than a roll. I don't know why. That's just the way it is. So I just have sheets of everything.
Well, really, sheets are just as well. I mean, you're pulling them off, you know.
Yeah, I'm used to it by now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, number of sheets. That was dumb. So I'm looking
Night,
at
James.
if you made stickers on Uprint for 100 sheets, which is 3,000 stickers of this one, it's 136 bucks for 3,000 stickers. But obviously that depends on the size of the sticker, right? So 4x2, 128 bucks. You get 1,000 stickers. So that's still pretty cheap. So 12 cents. That's got to do the math.
Depends on the side of the sticker.
Yeah.
And it depends on the quality as well. You get the glossy, that's going to be way more expensive than the non-glossy, right? So there's
High
different.
gloss, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I want to remind you to incorporate like tax and shipping into that cost. So what you're seeing there, Bob, is not, that's probably maybe 2/3 of your actual cost per sticker.
still
Once you include
14 cents a piece.
Yeah, which is pretty darn good.
So,
and then another thing I've done to kind of maximize my stickers is whenever I can, like when we were still working on just experimenting with different honeys, actually we still do this. We have one 12-ounce sticker. So we can buy 1,000 of them. Instead of buying 100 12-ounce for our regular honey, 100 12-ounce for our creamed honey, 100 12-ounce for this, we just buy 1,000 of the 12-ounce. And then we have a round sticker on top that says creamed or cinnamon creamed or whatever. And those are little ones that we print off at home that we can print a sheet of like 48 off of. So I'm still able to print my 2x4 in quantities of 1,000, but I'm attending to like 5 different products, right? And then I get to the point where I'm big enough where I know, okay, I'm going to sell 1,000 of these. Then I can individualize that sticker to that product, and I don't have to put that sticker on top. So that was one way that we were able to kind of leverage buying packaging in bulk.
Hale says, how long to sell 3,000 1-pound bottles at my size? I don't know.
Well, the prices are only going to go up, right? From anything we've learned, prices only go up, right? They don't ever come back down. It doesn't seem like so. 1,000, but you don't have to order 1,000. You can order less than 1,000. Just the price is typically a little bit higher per sticker.
I would buy 1,000 at least.
So that's what I
mean.
thought.
That's like
I thought with my formula, right? I'm like, oh, I'll buy 2,000. Well, I've already bottled over 1,000 bottles, so now it's like I'm getting to the point that I'm going to have to reorder labels soon. Maybe not tomorrow, but not too long.
Well, it depends on what. Like I have the safety label, where the infant and all that kind of stuff, and I buy that from one of these stock places, and I usually buy at least 500. Well, no more than that, probably 1,000 of them, because I'll sell, and that goes on every bottle. So it doesn't matter what size bottle it is, like you say, and you're going to sell that, you sell 500 different size bottles or whatever.
Well, the only thing is if you change like with stickers, if you decide to change your label later.
Well, I'm talking about the one that says, be advised that, you don't feed it to an infant under 1 year and honey will crystallize. Well, that's all it says on that. So that every bottle gets the same label, just like Brian's talking about his certain size label, but then he defines what's in that bottle by the sticker on top. So it's more efficient that way. Now I've had other folks will buy a label, but they don't have, like I have a label for each poundage. So you have 1 pound label, a 2 pound label, and a 3 pound label. Now there's the 2 pound label size fits also the 3 pound. Now I could get away with buying no poundage and I'd have to write that on there. To me, it doesn't look very professional. So I elect to buy 3 pound labels and 2 pound labels. And then there's a different size structure for the 1 pound label. And of course, my little bear is another specialized size label. And I do it that way. I mean, it just, works well. And then I have my, like you say, my warning label goes with everybody. And then I have, I started using this local honey label that goes on my lid. And I started that because I needed something to spend to get some free shipping. And it looks good. And people like that, I think. It goes back to, like Brian says, it's the looks of your it's a package and all that.
Right.
Huh?
Presentation.
Present, yeah. How it's just like anything that's you look in the supermarket, and they've had studies with this. They had plain Jane box of cereal, and then you had all these fancy colored boxes. It's all the same product, but people going in there and buying, they'll buy that fancy box every time.
Well, even have you seen those hexagon bottles with the wooden lid on them? I mean, I think they look very nice, but I don't know.
They're impossible to get honey out of, those bottles.
Oh, really?
Right? Well, yeah, they're all wide and they have this narrow little lid, right? So how are you going to get the honey out of there? But I know exactly what you're talking about. They look nice, but they're not functional.
I don't sell by weight. I sell by volume. Jason, where are you located?
You should sell by weight because honey is greater by weight than by volume. So if you take what's the math? Like a pound of honey by volume, 16 ounces, by weight is like 22 ounces. And it's so confusing. I teach math, so I talk to kids about this all the time. We have units of measurement, but we have ounces, which is a measurement of weight. But then we have ounces, which is also a measurement of a totally different thing, which is volume. It's really confusing.
Yeah, that's it is. I mean, a gallon of honey is 12 pounds. A gallon of water is 8 pounds, right? So
yeah, and if you go into a grocery store, look at all the liquid products sold. Things like tomato sauce, juices. Some will be sold in fluid ounces. So that's volume. Right. Some will be sold by weight. And I don't know what's what. Obviously honey's a heavy product, right? It's more dense. So we probably want to sell it by weight. But that's an important piece to know as someone who sells honey, that difference in weight and volume. Because you buy a 12-ounce jar and you put honey in it and it's 16 ounces in weight.
Hazard County, Maryland. How far is that from you, Charlie? Where Jason's at, Hazard County, Maryland.
They know Hazard County, Maryland, and there's no county named Hazard here.
That's what Jason said, where he's at Hazard County, Maryland. Quart jar, $20.
There ain't a county in the state of Maryland that's called that. There might be a town called Hazard.
Mark says, I just want to sell 150 gallons and walk away. 150 gallons, that's 150 times 12, right?
100 gallons would be 1,200 pounds.
That's 1,800 pounds. That's at my price, that's $18,000. Harford County.
That's where I live.
You're getting $20 a quart there?
I get more than that. A quart, you can get 2.75 pounds in. So that's $27.50 at my house.
pint jar, 16 ounces of water, 24 ounces of honey. Yep.
Yeah, it's like a 2/3 kind of thing. Spanky, tell us about your hex jar.
Oh, I just picked those up.
Well,
the
that's a
other
moose
day.
jar, right? Or is that?
No,
No, that's a hex. It's hexagon.
Okay, yeah, that's like what James uses. But ones I'm talking about, let me see.
I know what you're talking about. They're hexagon from profile, right?
Yeah.
Not from the bottom and top.
And those things on Amazon, I mean, they're expensive jars.
Those are the jars we use, Spanky. We sell 8 ounce and 12 ounce. So hold on, that's by weight. So if you buy the jars, we're buying 6 ounce and 10 ounce jars by volume. So our
this
4
is
ounce
a
jars,
4-ounce.
yeah, and that holds about 5.5 ounces and weight of honey.
Yeah. I found 2 cases of these for $5 a case, and it was 12 per case.
That's a good deal.
So this is the one that I'm talking about here. If I can get back to it here, like that.
Yeah.
But they're expensive. It's like $7 for the jar.
Yep.
But I wonder, would they sell better?
Depends on the honey.
And it depends on where you're selling them. Depends on your customer base, right?
Well, my customers like come and pick it up off the back of my tailgate of my truck, so they're not very picky. You know,
Right.
I'm not in the stores like that, but that, and there was another. I thought it was a neat looking jar. This one, that it's not only hexagon, but it's like beveled like a diamond almost.
Oh, I've never seen that. That's cool.
But look at that, $16. Airtight hexagonal lid, glass honey jars with natural wood lid and dipper. $16. Is that for one jar? That must be a jar for like Manuka. If you're only getting one jar for $16.
Now, Cajun there, Brad. I mean, I sell my honey at $10 a pound. Isn't that what everybody gets?
That's what I get, $10 a pound. And I don't discount it. And when I don't discount it, if it's 3 pounds, it's $30. I mean, you still got the cost of the jar, right? The jar's in there.
What do you mean? A pound of honey is 16 ounces, period.
Weight. 16
Weight.
ounces in weight. Yeah.
Every bottle I put it on a scale and I scale it. You know,
But
I
they're
don't go
saying
by
12 fluid ounces of honey is a pound.
That's right. Yeah. More bee math. So confusing.
So, yeah. So that's why even these mason jars, $15. Can you do 2 for 20? No, I cannot. They're $15.
Yeah, Paul with Hale Hives did have that great idea, putting it in that like that wine or like a whiskey bottle. That was a really nice look. So if you've got
I
like
don't even
special
want to
friends
open
or
that
family,
one. I want to taste the honey,
Yeah.
but I don't want to open it because it's such a great presentation.
yeah. So he nailed it with that one. That one looked really nice.
Airport honey in that fancy jar. I know, right? What you got there, Spank?
That's the jars I got there.
4 ounce.
Yeah.
$20 for how many of them? For
Well,
12?
$15 a quart. Forget that.
I didn't pay that for them.
$15 a quart.
Forget that.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, that's not bad. That's nice, and you can do the nice presentation because you get the dippers with that too, right, Spanky?
Yep. Yeah, you even get little metal bees that go on the hemp. Yeah, I didn't pay no $20 for them. I paid $5.
But that's a good thing.
That's what we use. We use hex jars, but let me tell you, they're a pain in the ass with stickers because our 12-ounce jars, the edges of the stickers fit right on one of the turns of one of the sides. So, and it fits really good on the 8-ounce stickers, but the edges of the sticker just fits right on one of the turns. So it's kind of a pain, but they're really nice. It's a really nice presentation.
Well, that's the thing. Like, yeah, I don't have as much honey as like Silver Gorilla and Mark. I haven't made that much. But what I will look at doing if I get to that much, then I'll probably go more to your philosophy of, hey, I'll go down to the flea market for a couple days a week and sell $600 worth of honey out there or whatever, you know. But I've been able to sell over a weekend just in my driveway, $400 worth of honey just by making a Facebook post in the local community page, and they'll just drive up, and I can still work my bees. And when someone pulls up, I take a break from the bees and I go sell the honey, and then I go back to working bees.
I think that's perfect for your situation right now.
And then if I get more honey to where it becomes a problem, which I don't ever see it to be a problem, then it's a matter of, well, what do I need to do to take it to be able to get it into stores and market? Well, then I need to do the steps I need to do to get my honey house approved by the state, where I can then sell it to be resold, right? Or go to the markets, go to the farmers market during the week, go to the flea market on the weekend, go to the Soda City market downtown or something like that. But, I think that just think of all the work you put in during the year with your bees, even in the winter, like right now, and you're not even able to go out to your bee yard and work your bees, but you're putting in work. You're painting boxes, you're building frames, you're ordering all this stuff, and you're using that money that those bees have provided for you to buy more stuff for bees, but then you're selling your honey on the cheap, right? And my thing is, I'm going to try to get every penny I can get from my honey, because that's a lot of work you're doing all year for nothing. And the only thing you get out of it is like a farmer. If you were a tomato farmer, just because you had a good crop, you're not going to discount your tomatoes to sell them. You know what I'm saying? You're going to sell them at this much as you can get for them at the time.
And I personally think honey is a very special product, and beekeepers need to value it and place that value, because if beekeepers don't do it, no one else is going to. I heard James the other day talk about not wanting to be that guy that kind of squeezes every penny out of how much honey or how much money he can make with his honey. And I totally agree with him, but there's got to be that fine balance of, charging the right price to not do a disservice. He wants to do a service to his customers, and I totally get that. But at some point, you do a disservice to other beekeepers and yourself as a beekeeper by creating too low of a value on your product. And I'm not saying James is doing this at all. I'm just saying that there's a potential that if people don't value their honey, that it can have a negative impact on the marketplace.
Well, they do a little bit different in Canada. So in Canada, they have the weight for the honey that they charge for, whatever the going rate is in Canada. But then they also add on top of that honey weight cost, the cost of the bottle and all the other stuff that gets added to it. So they break it down for their thing. They'll say, I'm only getting this much for the honey, but then they add the jar and the label and the time and all that to it.
Yeah, but isn't that what we all do in our pricing? Is that we don't really break it down, but we ultimately.
But if you think about it, if I'm saying I'm selling mine for $10 a pound and they're giving me a $10 bill, well, I haven't equated in the dollar for the bottle and label, right? So I'm really selling it for $9 a pound plus the jar. So yeah, that is that thing, but the good thing is in South Carolina, like Michael's talking, is I can sell up to 400 gallons, right? Or 4,800 pounds without having to have an inspection. So the beauty of honey is most of it's in cash. I don't have any bee police coming to say how much honey did you collect from your hives this year, you know, and so that's $19 a pint for 12 years. I know I've done that here. $19 a pint for 12 years. I've lost out. $19 a pint?
I think he's saying he undercharged for his honey for a really long time. He lost out stupid. He could have gotten a whole lot more money.
Well, if you go to the grocery store, a pound of honey, of real honey, if it says raw honey on it and you assume it's real honey, but it's $9-10 at the grocery store, you know, so yeah, no.
10, yeah, see, I sold mine for $10 for the last 12 years.
And
you know, and like James said, I don't want to be that guy that gets every little penny out of my honey, but I also, like you said, Bob, I want people to understand what goes into creating that really special product. And that's me building boxes in February in my garage at 10:30 at night so I can have honey in July, right? There's so much that goes into that honey in a jar. I want people to understand that.
In each one of those deep boxes, you figure if you had to build a colony today and you had to order from man, like let's say just one, and you were buying a deep box, you're spending $26 to $27 for the hive body, right? You're spending $25 for a bottom, $25 for a lid. Let's say $20 for an inner cover, right? So now you're $95 in. Oh yeah, and you haven't put any frames in the box. So now, you know, you're $100 in, and you're only at a single deep. You don't have any supers. You don't have any queen excluder. You don't have any of that other stuff, right? You don't have any feeder. You haven't bought any sugar. You haven't spent any time working them. You haven't painted them yet. I mean, no wax drawn out. So maybe you're not getting even the full amount of honey. So you've spent this let's say $200 by the time you put frames in it. And now, oh yeah, you have to buy the bees. So that's $200, right? So now you're $225, let's say.
I tell the people who are brand new, you're looking at $1,000 to start.
And then
you got to buy the bee suit, the smoker, everything else, plus the bees and the hive.
Well, you don't have to buy the bee suit.
Look at Kentucky guy. He says your input costs are going up every year. Honey prices have to go up also. You know,
yeah. And then
another thing is location. You know,
the first year you're not even going to get honey. So now you've got this money that's lingered out there for a whole year, right on that colony. So it's like, so that's kind of a crazy thing. So my thing is, why am I appreciate you coming to buy my honey. That I really appreciate that. However, and I turn around with them at my yard when they say, "Can I get 2 for 20?" I said, "You see each one of them boxes? You're looking at $75 or $50 just for the box and the frames. Not to mention the $6,000 I spent on the equipment to pull this honey out of the frames so I could put it in this jar to sell you. So unfortunately, I can't afford to give you 30% off your honey because you're wanting to buy 2. You know, that's why it's priced the way it is. And without being an asshole about it, you know, that's not the goal. The goal is to help them understand why things are the way they are. And
people have this idea, and this is why the Flow Hive was so popular when it came out. People had the idea that you can just walk up to any sort of box that has bees in it and turn a knob at any time of the year, and honey comes just right out.
Right.
And that's people's perception. And they went and they looked at the Flow Hive and they went, "Oh, that's it. That's what I visualized," and that's why it became so popular.
Could you imagine having 100 Flow Hives and having to harvest honey out of 100 Flow Hives?
So
that'd be a pain in the
Flow Hive.
Huh?
Brian, you like putting on shows at your markets. Have you thought about getting a Flow Hive just to put on a show at the market with the frame? Opening a frame and pouring the honey into the jar in front of them?
I
I
have
thought-
not.
I thought
Because
about it.
I know it's
You could
I
hook
know
a
it's
pump up to
expensive.
a tank on the bottom of the thing and then pump it through the flow hive and out.
I know it's an expensive upfront cost,
Well,
but if
or
it
go
nets
over
you
here
honey
like a Coke
cells,
machine and put
No,
your
I know
bottle.
what you're
Okay,
talking
let me
about,
fill it
Spanky.
up for you.
It's just limitless. It just keeps
Yeah, you
going.
don't-
You got a 55-gallon drum underneath the table that's concealed.
And let me be clear, I'm not trying to bust Flow Hive. I think they just marketed their product that way. And then they realized really quick that a whole bunch of people who had no intentions to become beekeepers bought their product. And then they did a really good job of educating their customers. They put out a lot of good information on how to teach their customers how to become beekeepers. So I think it was a consequence, not necessarily of them marketing it that way. Maybe it was a little bit that, but I think
I
it was
think they
also
marketed. They see what was it? Somebody said that they didn't think that would happen. You know, they
Right.
thought that the experienced beekeepers were going to buy these things, but it was the exact opposite.
So I to give them credit, I think they did a really good job of realizing the problem that they had created and then correcting the course. So
well, it's the
Hey.
path of least resistance. You present a path that appears to have least resistance, you're going to get people going down that path instead.
Now, this
if
may
you-
be something that you would want to take to a show or to market. The plexi bottling tank, the BYOB, right? Bring your own bottle and charge them by the weight. Have the scale there, tear it out, fill it up. Okay, $27.50 because you brought me whatever size bottle. It's $550. So.
Yeah, and we're not responsible for all the bee stings you're going to get when you're trying to do all that.
Yeah, out at the I mean, if you're at the market and you have that set up, you know, and you can just you just dump it back in the 5-gallon pail, right? That you poured it out of when you got there.
you know, for both that idea and Spanky's idea, I paused because I've had this experience at markets. I do markets all the time, and sometimes you attract neighborhood bees, especially if it's a 2-day event. If you go on a Saturday and Sunday, if you get bees on Saturday, you guarantee you're getting bees Sunday morning.
They'll
Right?
come right back to you.
That's right. And sometimes it can be a really big problem. So there have been times where I've had to shut it down. I've had to kill like 10 bees coming to my tent because I know if I don't kill those 10 bees, it's going to be 100 in 5 minutes. Right. So I'm freaking out and I'm catching bees and I'm putting them under jars. And Jen's like, no, let it go, set it free. And I'm like, you don't know what could happen. Right? So I look at that open honey coming out of a flow hive or that open, and I've got tasting stations at every one, but that's what that was my first reaction. That's why I hesitated to both of those ideas.
On the flow hive, you're not the first one to realize, well, wait a minute, the bees are going to raid this. And so they have the tube that comes out, bends at a 90-degree, and has the lid.
Yeah.
So the bees can't get to it or even smell it.
Well, they'll smell it all right.
Yeah.
People have already thought of that.
Silver Gorilla says he does that at local farmers markets using a 5-gallon jug. Just bring a 5-gallon bucket. You can do it like that. I don't know. I think about you'd have to have repeat customers that know you're there with the jars that they're bringing back.
Yeah.
And then I think to myself, the weight of bringing that thing versus the weight of a case of honey, probably a little bit easier.
Right.
All right. It's about midnight here for me, so I'm going to head.
Me too. Yeah. It's about time. Anyway, guys, tomorrow's the regular night. You guys know what time it is. We'll be on Lee's channel, 8:00 Eastern.
This is just a Beakonomics warm-up. We're talking Beakonomics tomorrow.
That's I enjoy that topic. Hopefully seems a lot of people enjoy it. We still got 28 on at midnight. So, whoops, sorry, I meant to remove that out of this stuff.
Man, I'd love to hear Silver Gorilla's story. I'd love to hear him come on. All of your comments. I know you're in Texas somewhere. It sounds like you've got a lot to contribute. And if you feel brave enough, come on one night. We'd love to hear your voice.
Or sell them a jar for another $10. Yeah, just bring jars. Oh, if you didn't bring a jar, well, I got a jar. What size do you want? Pickle jar? That's 50 pounds of honey. There you go.
Family value.
You want a 5-gallon pail? $500. There you go. The
600.
first year.
All right, I'm bugging out. I'll catch y'all later.
All right,
see you,
Yeah,
Brian.
yeah,
Night,
we're
guys.
gonna hop off here.
See you tomorrow night.
All right, good night, guys. Have a good
Take
one.
it easy, Spanky. Take it easy, Bob.
Yep.
In the broadcast.